kind of team you're talking about is a team which would try to be raising a few 100 million shillings.
Yeah, it depends what the idea is. If you're doing a small bar in a neighborhood, it might be 130, to decorate, to build a bar and set it up. I mean, I don't know. I mean, a restaurant might be a little bit more. If you're doing a hotel, then you're talking about several 100 million. Depends on the idea, really, and there are plenty of those.
So what remains relevant for a businessman who wants to start a kiosk, which is going to be less than 100 million?
What remains relevant now at that point in time is that actually the driver needs to put the idea on the table. They need to actually have the idea. They have to show it. They have to actually say, if the idea is not big in size, you have to really actually just go out and do something about it. So people come and see where it is and say, we want to build 3 kiosks. We want to be part of this particular group of what we want to do. So at a certain size, it is actually important that the idea is actually put there. You have to have a start. You have to start. You can't say, look, we're going to be, you're going to be, let me use the word, they no longer sell airtime, but I'm going to be selling an airtime shop. But and it requires 10 million shillings. But you just gotta go and at least start something and say, look, I'm looking to do 3 or 4 or 5 of these things, and I'm looking for money to raise. I'm raising money. There is also an amount. There's also an amount that it becomes very difficult because of breaking it down into smaller units becomes quite hard. Yeah. So
you have your driver.
So you have a driver of the business.
You might be the whole team. Oh well, maybe not. You might need some.
Yeah, but typically, I mean, we're talking about a sizable type business. I mean, because everybody says raising capital is very difficult. Getting money from the banks is not easy.
Especially at the beginning.
At the beginning, it's very difficult. So you need to have a business with a track record before you're going to go to the bank. At this point in time, you're looking to raise 100 million, 300 million, 500 million. That's sort of the range. People are looking for $100,000 to, that's a range, but maybe more, maybe a bit less. But at this point in time, you need to be able to break it down into amounts that people can actually invest in. At this point in time, you're talking about breaking down into certain units, and those units need to be units that make sense. And also, for a business, typically you also don't want to have too many investors, depending on the size of the business and the sort of monies that it can return, because also too many investors become unwieldy, and so you need to also seek an optimal size of numbers. So, and the name of the fund, that's why it's called raising money from family, friends, and fools, because family will normally be the first place you start. Yeah. And so you look at your immediate family, brothers, sisters, whatever, and then next maybe cousins, and then you look in that group. But remember, it's important that you are selective about who you bring on board. Bring on board the right type of person, because that person could be an attraction to other investors or could be a complete turn-off. So you need to make sure that you don't bring on board somebody who maybe is a bully or has some characteristics that might turn off a lot of other people. So those are some of the hints. But then after that, there is a whole sequence of events that you need to go through, because once you have an anchor, you now need to think through, who do you go to next, and how do you proceed with the next set of people? Because remember, the anchor will, he will have a word out, but you also now need to find the next set of people. So you need to go to them, explain to them the idea, and at this point in time, once you have a few people on board, you have to start to get some specifics in place. So if you're doing a small lifestyle business, a gym, a spa, a restaurant, now you have to have a location. So now this is where we're going to have. We've already got the site. We used our first investor to actually get a rental, and we're starting the work around this. And at that point in time, the more it's got a bit of a snowball effect. The more you do a bit of work, the more it becomes real for people who are watching it from the outside. And remember, naturally there's skepticism. Everybody is going to say, will it work? You know, that area has already got too many places, there are too many spas, or there's too many gyms, or whatever you're trying to do. I mean, I'd imagine that there is, you know, a whole lot of ideas that people have, or new entrepreneurs will have in this day and age.